Hello. The story starts in 1992 in Gainesville, Florida. Gainesville's already a punk town. It had a scene. It had house shows. It had energy. And these three guys, Chris Denmark, Sean Griffin, and Roger Madden, started a band that was a little different from other punk band. They added horns, like actual, like trumpets, trombones, saxophones. It was fucking wild. But honestly, saying that was insane should not work. Because today we're talking about, I don't know if you see this, we're talking about Less Than Jake. One of mine, if out of all the bands I listen to, I would put them in my top 5 favorite bands, because, well, that's the band who got me into the music. Personally, yeah, I love them. I own too many CDs of them. I went to them live actually once. It was actually this New Year's. Funny story. I'll tell a little bit. I'll make a whole video about that one day. About my first ever concert. But I went to St. Cloud to see them live. It was actually amazing. I'll make a video about that one day. I will. But they were playing a mix between punk energy, ska rhythm, and people loved it. They started putting out their own label record, like that, passing out vinyls and stuff, selling them at shows. But they didn't just. By 1996, they dropped Losing Streak. And this had some of their best songs. They had songs like Johnny Coy's Think Sell Out, Dope Man. This album. With the peak, we're talking about peak in Warp Tour. Then 1987, they dropped Rockview, one of probably last week's best album out of all the albums. They dropped Hello Rock, and guys, if Losing Streak put them on the map, Hello Rockview was impossible to ignore. These guys were like, this album is like, it's fucking amazing. I've been to the CD stores multiple times. I see it in stock. It goes out fast. And in my opinion, this might be one of Less Than Jake's better albums. Other than History of Boring Town, that song is everywhere. That video on MVTV, MVT, a ska band. They were Warped Tour every single summer, and you want to know something fucking crazy? Okay, if you want to know, Google how many times Les and Jake played at Warped Tour. Less Than Jake. In visual shows, they've been on almost. They went on 1997, 1998, and they went through every single year until 2001. Well, they skipped 2002, 2003, 2009, 2006, 2011, 2014, 16, 18, and and individual shows. They have played the 365 to 400 individuals shows, and that's fucking insane. Warped, and not counting the 2 New Years, so that would be around. It's a shit ton, and they're just fucking amazing guys. And here's the thing: they were Capitol Records, a major label. This is peak. This is what puts ska on the map. It was it was ska. How you said the punk explosion was insane. It was punk and ska, cause of course, if you Google it, there was a ska explosion with the punk rock explosion. the pattern interrupt the crash. But this is where things fell apart. If you didn't know what happened to Lester and Jake in the early 2000s, I'll tell you. It died, like, overnight. One day, every single label had ska, Suicide Machine, Fishbone. Well, I actually don't like Fishbone that much, but Suicide Machine, uh, Real Big Fish, all these bands. And then, nothing. The industry just moved on. Pop punk took over. Bands like Blink-182, My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boys, Taking Back Sunday. Emo took over. And ska? Ska became a joke. Not like ska. I feel like ska is dead. Punk is dead. Like, it was funny. And Les and Jake was stuck. They, major label, wanted ska anymore, and cable labels dropped them, and their fan base was shrinking, and tours got smaller. And it's like, a lot of bands would quit right there. Like, a lot of bands, like, hey, they Listen, they didn't quit. And this is where things is interesting. Because I said earlier, Hello Rockview was their best album. That was their best album. Where their best songs is, well, we're gonna get into that. Since they released Anthem. And guys, this album was stand on. This is a new label, Feud by Ramen. I have the deluxe CD here, with the CD and the DVD. You can see over there, look at that, earlier I showed the CD in my player. And, a smaller, and Anthem has songs like Scientology Telling You Short, She's Gonna Break Soon, Look What Happened, The Ghost of You and Me, New South. Honestly, these songs show Les and Jake could evolve without losing what made them. And this album is probably one of my favorites of all time. Dan goes Losing Streak, this, and a Hello Rock You. I personally, though, I have this one, and it was a pretty good album, I'm not gonna lie. And the horns were still there. The energy was still there. But songwriting, Doc Tighter, it was focused, and the fans noticed. Was it big as Heart Roger? No, hell no. But it was important because Lester and Jake didn't need to be mainstream anymore. They just needed their fans. And so, why did Dustin J survive, basically? Every other ska band didn't, honestly. Due to three things. First, they never stopped touring. Like, fucking never. They broke. While other games were breaking up, going on breaks, Lester Jake was on World Tour. They became one band who you can count on seeing, like, every year. Like, legit, if you live in Florida and you say, "Oh, I've never seen Lester and Jake," you have no excuse. You can see they fucking play Wake and Bake every year. They stay true to their sound. They didn't try going pop punk. They didn't try being a pussy like those motherfuckers. They fucking say ska. They didn't try becoming pop punk. They didn't try to become an emo band. The horn stayed. The energy stayed. And yeah, maybe they would never be big like Blink-182. They'll never gonna be at that level. But that's their identity. Unlike a lot of bands back in that day, some bands I'm gonna say this, Sum 41, they released Killer No Filler, and they just have not. And yeah, they lost their spark. I'm just gonna say that. They kind of, bands lost their music. Yeah. in my opinion, hey, that's cool and stuff. Yeah, I don't. But let's check this down. They build their own things, their own label, their own touring networks. They didn't wait for the industry to save them. Unlike a lot of bands, the industry wasn't going to. They saved themselves. But the punishment, why no one cares. But there's a sad part, and I ought to be real with you. Despite everything, the loyalty, loyalty, the over 50 years of music almost, they don't have any respect. They deserve to be like talked by like Green Day, Rancid, Offspring. They will, I would say, are they like Blink-182 level? They're never gonna get there, but in my opinion, they're like Rancid level. They are at that. They're really good, and like a lot of like bands who are like that. Suicide Machines like only have 262,000 listeners. They're one of the greats. Rancid, like they are probably one of the greatest bands of all time. They they only have. I'm checking this real quick. They only have only 1 million listeners. But they just got left out because punk, ska and punk, because some people are embarrassed to like it. The same people who Monster Truck Question sellouts in 1997 now pretend they weren't there. The punishment is staying. You survived the crash, but the world will like never be important. But Les and Jake didn't care. They still play. They still do it. And hey, if you're in the UK, go see them. And still putting the music, and honestly, they are just fucking great. They're fucking great guys. Losing streak almost ended them. The ska crash almost ended them. The industry did too, but they still stayed, and that deserves hell respect. They refuse to die, so they do. So some Jake underrated, or did he get the respect they deserve? Let me know. And if you enjoyed, like, subscribe. I'm broke. I have no money. I put all my money into this. Please, I need this. But seriously, thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Maybe, maybe not. You will never know.